Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
You know, I want to say something. You say you're proud of them. I'm proud of you because you are not part of a term I just heard the other day, the hot take media. You're not that. You don't get into the fake
Hot
news
take.
and all the stuff that I see. And I used to, I don't anymore because it's exhausting. But, you know, the talk of the flower being traded and so forth, at the end of the day, he never was. I mean, what do you see as the future for him? Like, do you think, like when they came through here in Sunrise, I was one of the many people down at ice level taking photos because I thought it might be his last time that he'd come through. How much longer is this guy going to play, do you think?
I mean, with last night as an exception, he has been absolutely tremendous. He was named this week's NHL third star for helping and willing Minnesota into good position. Coming into this year, Marc-Andre Fleury was not supposed to be the starting goaltender. That job was going to be Philip Gustafsson's. Philip Gustafsson was going to have the lion's share of starts. Marc-Andre Fleury was okay with that, and it did. It kind of felt like it would be his farewell tour. But with an injury to Philip Gustafsson early on in the year, and then just a lot of inconsistent play from Gus, Marc-Andre Fleury's really stepped up. And sometimes he's making you forget that he's 39 years old, the way that he was saving games. Again, last night, an exception. But I can see Marc-Andre Fleury playing another year. You're seeing right now, you know, I asked him last week, usually he has been in a position where the team has already been in the playoffs. And right now he's trying to help and will a team into the playoffs. And he said he really likes that competition. He is a guy that is not ready to hang them up. I would not be surprised if he stuck around. And frankly, I would not be surprised if if he ends up staying in Minnesota and the Wild and Bill Guerin look at Philip Gustafsson's contract extension that he made just a year ago. I think Marc-Andre Fleury would be a great mentor. Love having him around the locker room. And he still has some juice left in that box. So I would think you'll get another year, Marc-Andre, and obviously biasly, I'd love to see him stay here in Minnesota.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show. Right now.
Realizing I watched a lot of television with the youngsters back in the day.
How about that?
I'll say it again. That cab driver in Bucharrillos, Mexico, when he said, "Señor, your español es mucho bueno." Why is that? I said, Dora the Explorer. That's why I learned so much Spanish.
I got to brush up on my Spanish, though.
Yes, you do. ¿Cómo estás? Uno más, por favor.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, buenos dias, senors, senorita. Welcome to the RP Show, episode number 1208 of your favorite daytime sports talk show. I'm just getting things all ready to go here. I hope you had a great weekend. I hope you're ready to kick butt in a brand new week. That's what my guys are telling me they are. Not these guys, different guys. Let's bring in the Moose. Hey, Moose, how are you? Listen, I'm in the same place I'm always at. But tell the folks where you're at today, if you don't mind. Not too much changes with me, but you're popping up all over the place.
Yeah, we're in Palm Springs, California. So same place I was on Friday, but so we're not moving around too much. But we had a good weekend down here, and it's a good day to be drinking coffee. It's actually a little cool this morning. It was only about 10 to 15 degrees on the Celsius side this morning.
Well, la-dee-da. And let me just say this. It's a good day to have a good day. Brian Biggie Munz is going to be with us in hour one, famed Winnipeg broadcaster. And in hour two, John Hodge, famed Winnipeg blogger from 3downnation.com, to put a wrap on the CFL Combine, but maybe what rule changes the CFL might be looking at. And for that matter, I'm seeing that the NFL is like changing rules as we go right now. So we got a lot to get to today. Can you hit the quick six show horn, please, Director Jordan? And let's get down. We'll get down to business. And we open every show with the big story. Here's the big story. And you might be surprised. Darren's not, because we prepped each other for this in the pre-show meeting. It's baseball. Shohei Ohtani plans to speak to the media today for the first time since the illegal gambling and theft allegations involving the Dodgers star and his interpreter emerged during the team's trip to South Korea. The interpreter, Ippei Mitsuhara, was fired by the Dodgers last week when the team opened the season with 2 games against the Padres in Seoul. Manager Dave Roberts, not that Dave Roberts, Moose, a different one. Manager Dave Roberts says he's glad Ohtani will speak to what he knows and give his thoughts on the situation, unquote. Ohtani received a huge cheer as he walked to the plate for the first time at Dodger Stadium on Sunday in the exhibition against his former team, the Angels. And I added this to the story. I want everybody to gather around and be part of this discussion. That's what we do here. If you're new to watching the show, we're the View for sports fans. We talk about the day's issues, and we get everybody's opinion. The MLB gambling policy is posted in every clubhouse. Betting on baseball, legally or not, is punishable with a 1-year ban from the sport. The penalty for betting on other sports illegally is at the commissioner's discretion. Sports gambling is illegal in California, even as 38 states and the District of Columbia allows some form of it. So that's the wire copy. That's what you would read in your newspaper today. Do we know anything else? Are you hearing anything? You're in Southern California, man. You're right in the eye of the hurricane. Have you got some juice for us today?
Yeah, I wish I did. I mean, on that sense, I mean, I haven't been talking to sports people in Southern California who've been doing a little more touring. But, you know, the coverage around here, I have been watching sports television, and, you know, the Shohei Ohtani news is front and center. And the fact that he's speaking today, everybody wonders what's going to come out, because, you know, when you're making $700 million and you sign that contract, the reporters, they're not going to take it easy on Shohei, you know, and whoever his interpreter is going to be this afternoon when he speaks to the media. So it'll be interesting to see where this comes from. And also, it's really interesting to see what the commissioner will decide to do. If there's betting tied to Shohei, not only on baseball, which you said is the 1-year ban, but on another sport at the commissioner's discretion, when you're talking about the biggest star in the game, this is a big monumental decision for the commissioner of baseball.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, Darcy in Grand Prairie writes that he's up bright and early out there in Alberta, and he says he's written us on the Super Carpenter text line, and he says, Pete Rose says hello. In the morning meeting today, we do hash these topics around a little bit, and was it you or Clark said that Pete Rose is all upset now that certain people are defending Shohei Ohtani? They didn't defend him. Hey, Pete, you were guilty. You just won't admit it. But I digress. I enjoy the Pete Rose sidebar to this whole thing, but I haven't read a whole lot other than this is why I pay an exorbitant amount for an Associated Press / Canadian Press subscription, because it's just the goods. It's not opinion. I don't want opinion. I don't want my opinion on anything. These people seem to, these viewers, but I don't. I just want the news. So Ohtani is going to come out today and speak to the media, and none of us know what he's going to say, but I guess that leads us into our poll question today, which is brought to you by Key Auto Group. It is daily. At the Key Auto Group, we're driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. The question is, do you believe Shohei Ohtani is guilty of any wrongdoing in the betting scandal? And I'm going to vote no, and I haven't actually looked to see what they're saying on Twitter since I posted that, but I'll say no for a couple of reasons. I mean, we can bring Darren back on. What is it? 59% are saying yes, they believe that he is. I guess the very small amount I read was that there was money missing from his account, and it was directed to an illegal gambling scheme. But I don't know what to believe anymore. Do you understand, everybody? Not just you, Darren, but everybody. I keep hammering this every day. I don't know what to believe anymore. So therefore, I don't believe anything. And I'm not sure I'm going to believe what Ohtani says when he comes to the microphone today, to be honest. But what I do know, when I got my diploma as an addiction treatment specialist, which included gambling addiction, very simply that Asians are the most disciplined race on the earth. I don't think I can get canceled for that. It's a compliment, and it's a fact. Asians are the most disciplined race on the planet. Now, having said that, his interpreter's Japanese too, so he's guilty of something. But my point is, Ohtani, I don't think he's dumb. Man, $700 million contract with the Dodgers, down the drain if he's found to have been doing anything illegal here, gambling addiction or not. So all I'm going to say is no, I don't think that he is. I'm interested that 59% of people say that they think that he is guilty of some wrongdoing. How about you?
I can go, both ways on this. My first instinct is to lean yes. that, where there's smoke, there's fire. Because I think about, look at, fraud happens. We haven't all had it, but, several of us have had some charges on our credit card that we didn't make. We've been scammed. It's pretty easy for that to happen. I think there's a little more security around Sean's bank account. A few more, so $4 million doesn't just disappear. It's got to go somewhere. And you think $4 million slips out of his jeans and he doesn't know where it went? That I don't know. But I do like to take people at their word until they're next. So I'm curious what he says. An interpreter borrowed some money and showed strings attached. I don't even want to know. Just, you can have the money. And then he used it for whatever. Okay. I can see where that would happen. But there's smoke here, and it leads me to think there's some fire.
Well, funny you say that. Carlos in Indianapolis writes in, he says he's guilty of something, maybe not everything or the worst offense, but something. He'll take his punishment, and hopefully he'll get his second chance. BW in Edmonton says, been working all weekend now to get caught up on the weekend sports events from the RP show. Thank you, BW. And we'll move on quickly here. Jenna in Southern California says, good morning from SoCal. That's where Darren is. Maybe you should go have coffee with Jenna in Southern California, since you're both there. And Randy in Winnipeg says, does anyone want to meet Nashville in the first round? I like that shirt, Rod. Thank you. I like it, too. I found it the other day when I was just cleaning out some old stuff. You all are starting to get to know me in that I've been everywhere. Man, I got gear from every team. And I really like the Coyotes gear. It's too bad that things didn't work out with the Coyotes and me, because I was kind of really starting to like Arizona. But, hey, spit happens. We're going to move on, but that's a major theme, and that's the big story today. Shohei Ohtani. Story ain't over, not even close, but it's the big story. Now to NHL leftovers, and for those that are new to this show, I can't believe we're in almost year 6. It's episode 1208, and people are just finding us, but whatever. We go through the quick 6 show topics every day. Spend a little more time on some than others, but we talk about everything. So to NHL leftovers coming out of the weekend. Here was just some highlights from Sunday's games. In Raleigh, Brady Shea and Sebastian Aho scored as the Carolina Hurricanes beat the Leafs 2-1 for their 6th win in 7 games. Up in Ottawa, defenseman Jacob Chychrun, who interestingly is from here, broke a tie with 3:03 to go. Nice goal, too, by the way. I almost texted his dad, Jeff Chychrun. He was like the left-handed shooting Ovi, or the left-handed shooting Brett Hull from that right faceoff dot against Edmonton, with his second power play goal of the game to help Ottawa beat Edmonton 5-3. And oh, yeah, thanks Sens and thanks officials, because Serena went to bed mad. Why do I have to pay? I had nothing to do with it. In Washington, Alex Ovechkin scored twice to reach 26 goals this season. Charlie Lindgren stopped all 27 shots he faced, and Washington beat Winnipeg 3-2 to move back into a playoff spot. Ovi had 2 more. He's now 46 back of Wayne. Like, is anybody else noticing? He just decided he's going to do it now. He's just decided. To sit and predict whether he's going to do it or not, for us and guys like us, is we should just ask him, do you care, Ovi? How you feeling today? Are you into it or are you not, Ovi? In Seattle, Alex Newhook scored twice, and Montreal sent Seattle to its 8th straight loss, 5-1. And in Calgary, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen made 32 saves. Tage Thompson had a goal and an assist, and Buffalo beat Calgary 4-1. Yes, Jenna, I know. I got your tweet. Jenna in Southern California, biggest Sabres fan I know. Jonathan Huberdeau scored for Calgary, who were coming off a 4-2 loss at Vancouver Saturday night. Flames dropped to 33-32-5. Dustin Wolf made 25 saves for the Flames. So, Darren, before we get your take on the weekend, I got a few thoughts. I messaged a Calgary hockey friend of mine. I said, how did Dustin Wolf look in the game? Because I didn't watch it. I was watching the Panthers beat Philly last night 4-1. Beat the brakes off him. And he said Dustin Wolf looked shaky at the start, but then he settled in. But again, the Sabres did walk on them. He goes, Dustin doesn't know where he fits in. This is this guy's guess. He doesn't work for the Flames. He goes, just from what I see, he goes, he doesn't know where he fits in with this team. He's going to go back down to the Wranglers for the rest of the year and hopefully lead them to an AHL championship, and then in the summer try and figure out where he fits in with Markstrom and Vladar and all the rest. So that's the word that I got. He looked shaky. It got better as the game went on. This is your goalie of the future, Calgary. So take that for what you will. That's the report. It may even not be right, but that's what I was told. And I'll say this about Ottawa. I was watching the game last night on TSN, Ottawa, and they said, Darren, that they need to find out what Jacob Chychrun's going to do. They need to find out what he wants for the future in Ottawa. Why don't you ask him? Has anybody thought about that? Because if you did, he would tell you he wants to stay. Because that's where his grandfather, John, is, that comes to every game, whom I've met. And they got a family cabin up there, just outside Ottawa. He doesn't want to leave. That's why I don't understand the gobbledygook of the media now. Can you just say it for what it is, man? Or even the teams. Why do you got to leave a player? Dustin Wolf, you're our guy. Get in there and play like it. This guy, I don't get it, man. That's my leftovers. What are yours?
I know. It's interesting. But Dustin Wolf is the goalie of the future in Calgary. I think with goalies, we typically need to be more patient than any other position. They don't happen overnight. Very rare that we see rookie goaltenders come in and steal the show. So I think, Dustin Wolf is going to get more time next year. I don't know if he'll be the guy. It depends what happens with Markstrom. But he's going to get into his prime a year, 2, 3 years from now and really hopefully on that crease. He put it in a great way. He just decided he was going to play. It's like getting ready in the morning. I'll be sitting having my coffee, watching Get Up, and it'll be, Darren, if you don't get in the shower now, you're going to be late. And it's like, Ovi, if you don't start scoring now, you're not going to beat Wayne. Oh, I got to go? Okay. 2 every night. And he's probably going to catch now by all of a sudden, where we thought it was going to be 2 years from now. So it's fun to watch, extremely hard to predict, but Ovi seems to be turning it on now, and that's a good thing.
There's a massive message in this for everybody. I mean, just in terms of numbers, he was on pace to not set this thing for 2 more years. Now he's on pace to break it by next month. Like, I'm joking, but before Christmas next year. It all depends on Ovi. And that's why I'm so happy to be able to be in an NHL market and watch these games every night. And when Washington was here like 3 weeks ago, he couldn't have cared less. And I talked to the Capitals people. They weren't happy with his effort. But it's like somebody lit a fire under his ass, and as you just said, now he's scoring 2 goals every game. What's the projections for? They don't mean anything at all. It's a good guideline, but it doesn't mean squat. Kevin the Medium is awake. He says, good morning, RP peeps. Anyone else notice my Vancouver Canucks are back in first place? Well, if we didn't, thank God they got you, Kev. Randy from Winnipeg says, great show by Crosby and McGinnon in the 5-4 Colorado win. Pens were up 4-0. Don't turn your back on an Avalanche. I didn't even mean, but don't turn your back on an Avalanche. And they've won 9 in a row. I was listening to NHL radio this morning. They had a gal on. She hosts a podcast. It's called the Pucks in 7 podcast. Anybody heard of that? I hadn't. She's very good. And they were talking about this NHL documentary that's coming out, like The Drive to Survive. And they're like, who would you like to see have a camera on them 24/7? Who would be the most entertaining in the NHL? She brought up Nathan McKinnon. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. He would be like the last guy I'd want to see. But I wouldn't mind seeing Matthew Tkachuk bombing around in his golf cart around Southern California. Or Southern Florida. That would be interesting to me. Maybe, folks, as we break, think about that and write in on the YouTube or the text line. Who would you like to see featured in the NHL Drive to Survive behind-the-scenes documentary? Because for me, it's not Nathan McKinnon. It's definitely Matthew Tkachuk. We'll be back. We're only two topics into our Quick 6 show topics. We'll be right back live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Approved.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Okay, everybody, we're back at it. Hey, reward your love for movies by signing up for Landmark Extras for free today. Get more of what you love. Free movies and concession items, invitations to exclusive screenings, special events, and more. There are three rewarding programs for you to choose from. Just check them out at landmarkcinemas.com for details. If we can bring the Moose back in, that would be great. I tried to get to a movie this weekend, but I was the only one that wanted to go. So maybe this week I'll get to one. As a matter of fact, there's a couple movies coming up that I want to see, and I'm going to be telling you about them later on in the sports updates. So as we continue our quick six show topics here, number 3, Rachel Homan and her Ottawa-based team defeated Switzerland's Silvana Turanzoni 7-5 Sunday to win at the Women's World Curling Championship in Sydney, Nova Scotia. Point 4, March Madness. All 8 top seeds are headed to the regional round for the 5th time ever. One double-digit seed will join them at March Madness, but most of the Cinderellas that put the Madness in March last year have already bowed out of the bracket So it's the blue bloods, it's the rich schools, the big schools, and the big boys are headed to the Sweet 16. Last year's Final Four was unlike any other. A bracket-busting foursome with no teams seeded better than number 4 for the first time since the bracket expanded in 1979. This year, the upsets that punctuated March have been limited, and the only true buzzer beater was a tying three-pointer by Texas A&M's Anderson Garcia to force overtime against Houston. That was just last night. That is the extent of March Madness that I'm willing to talk, because one thing I know about our audience, they don't care. So back to what NHL players you'd like to see in a 24/7 documentary. Who would it be for you?
It would be really interesting. Ovechkin, obviously, right now, with what's going on with him trying to, chase the record. You can't have too many of the same. So if you're going to have a McKinnon, who I'm with you, not extremely entertaining, very humble, very polite, very nice. You could have one of those guys. I'd have another guy that's kind of at the end, and a team that's battling for the playoffs. I'd probably have Marc-Andre Fleury in the documentary. He's got a lot of personality.
Yeah.
He's in a unique position. So those would be two guys for me I'd want to see in the doc, Ovechkin and Fleury.
Okay. You misread me. I didn't say that Nathan McKinnon was humble, and what else did you say? I didn't say that. I said maybe he was boring. From what I hear, he's a bit of a nasty prick. That's just what I hear.
That?
But so maybe it's a good thing if we did see a documentary on him. I don't know. Like, I find it really hard to believe. You people in Canada do not understand, I don't think, what it's like with the U.S. and America. It's very hard to believe that the Colorado Avalanche and their 3 Stanley Cups are like a distant 4th on the Denver sports pecking order. We find that as Canadians very hard to believe. Denver Broncos #1. Okay, yeah, I get it. But then the Nuggets just won the championship last year, the Denver Nuggets, after being horrible forever. And then there's the Colorado Rockies, which baseball is still America's sport. So the Avalanche way down here. Hence, there's hardly any coverage of Nathan McKinnon in the market, and heaven knows outside the market. So, again, this is just what I hear from the hockey people, that he's nasty. And if the people from the Maritimes, where he's from, want to perk up and say, I've been the victim of bum information, I'd be happy with that. But no, I don't want to see Nathan McKinnon because he doesn't seem like that interesting of a guy to me. It's interesting that you say the flower, because I thought the exact same thing. How could you not want to see a guy that's smiling all the time? A real goalie edition would be fantastic. There's a quarterback thing on Netflix for the NFL and receivers. Why can't we have a goalie edition? Following Bob around, currently I think my favorite goalie in the NHL. No, Flower's still my favorite goalie. Bob's #2. #1, he doesn't speak English very good, and he's kind of boring and nerdy. So you got to put some thought into this. I'll say this, though, man. We've been concerned about this as a hockey country for a long time. Where are the goalies? And why are they all Russian, the good ones? Vasilevsky, Bobrovsky, Shesterkin, Samsonov, Sorokin, pretty darn good. Why can't we find good Canadian goalies? Anyways, regarding Shohei Ohtani, Brian in Hudson's Bay writes in, Darren, on the Sober Carpenter text line, 902-518-3033. And he says, I don't know about you, Rod, but if I'm missing $4 million, I want to know where it went. LOL. Yeah. He goes, pretty sure Shohei isn't as sneaky clean as some want him to be.
Bingo!
Well, Clark, you think he's guilty? What are you voting, Clark? Yes or no? You think he's guilty of some wrongdoing? He's the one hitting the sound effects back there. He says where there's smoke, there's fire. John Lynch used to say it. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Well, I'll tell you this, man. I flipped in my own mind. Okay, story time. Put your feet up, Moose. I was rooming in Vancouver on a road trip with a assistant coach and former Edmonton Oiler, Todd Strube, who was also a cop. So we were roommates in the room in East Van, and he was flipping through photos, and I don't even want to tell you what they were. It was really graphic and bad. I'm not going to. It's daytime television. I'm not joking. Don't smile. It ain't funny. And as I got up, he had the bed closest to the bathroom. So as I got up to go to the bathroom, I looked at his photo album. There were printed photos, and I go, "What are you looking at, Stroops?" And he goes, "Oh, just this photos of this abused blank." And I'm like, "The world's a toilet, isn't it, Stroops?" He goes, "No, it's not, Roddy." If you knew Todd Strobe at all, you would hear his voice echoing in your head. Former Blade and Pat, Todd, "No, it's not, Roddy. Just some people are, but you can't believe that the world's a toilet because it's not. The world is a wonderful place." And I've never, clearly, 20 years later, I've not forgotten that conversation. I still see those photos in my mind when I close my eyes. It was horrible. But why do we have to believe that Shohei Ohtani is guilty? I'm not saying you guys are doing anything wrong. What I'm saying is I'm choosing to believe that he's not. And I really believe that he's not. Because I believe there are still good people and not everybody's guilty. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. The end. Has that changed your mind or any of you people's mind that Ohtani is guilty of something here?
Well, that's kind of, what I mentioned when you first asked. I where there's smoke, there's fire, but I always also give people trust until it's broken. So if Shohei says there's nothing going on, I tend to want to believe that. I don't want to doubt people without any reason to doubt them. He's given me no reason to doubt him. But there is something going on here. You don't just lose $4 million. So I'm curious, to see what comes out today. What does he say? What is the explanation? And I think it's important. Shohei hasn't been a guy with a history of, pulling one over on people and lying and a history of deceit, right? Or breaking the rules. So whatever they come out with today, we shouldn't second guess what he says. But at the same time, we got to start turning over some rocks here because something's going on.
Well, yeah, and I guess we all have the right, it's a free country, to believe what we want to believe. But again, I'm not sure that I necessarily believe what Ohtani's going to say today. But you guys also have to understand something, because I have rolled with these athletes, never one that's signed a $700 million contract. But they could lose $4 million quite easily and have no idea. Sorry to tell you, there's no Santa Claus. But it could happen, especially if somebody's handling their finances. Like this interpreter sounds like he's his right-hand man. Maybe he's his PA, personal assistant. So to think that you could lose $4 million and not know, please. I think it happens way more than you'd think, just so you know. Regarding who would you like to see in a documentary on the NHL streaming doc, Jordan S. writes in and says, it'd be cool to see McDavid. I'll say this about McJesus. Saturday night, we were watching Hockey Night in Canada. We always do. And he was interviewed by Luke Gazdick and Bieksa and Ron McLean and Jennifer Botterill. McDavid was. I think it was before the game. He was really good. I think when McDavid lets his guard down and he's around people he could trust like that, he's actually a really funny guy. I would definitely watch a documentary with McDavid for sure. But for now, there's your meme today, Darren. Who would you like to see in the NHL streaming documentary featured? For me, it's Tkachuk. Are you going with the flower? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. And everybody else. Ryan O'Radio, let's not forget we are on the radio in Atlanta. And he says, what, Rod? No Santa? No. I didn't say that, did I? Hello. All the kids are in school, so it doesn't matter. Bo Halverson writes in and says, Elvis had the best manager looking out for him, right? Colonel Parker. I'm telling you, look at what the guy makes, Shohei Ohtani. That is, guys, that is the change in the console of his vehicle. I know for us normies, us normal people, it'd be very hard to believe. But they're not living in a normal world. And that's why I'm very interested to see how this all shakes down, because I don't know what to believe. But by the way, there's also the tracking. This ain't like it used to be. It's like my friend Fad. We were talking about tracking days, 180 days, and by the way, I don't have to worry about it anymore in the States. But that we were standing on the Patron patio at a Panthers game, and he goes, Rod, the U.S. government knows you're here. It's not 1971. He's like, they have it on a computer when you enter the country, August 26th. They know you're here. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah. There's a digital trail for all of this stuff, and that's why I'm kind of surprised it took this long. Okay, a quick one. We'll spend far more time on this next hour, but it has to do with football rules. I just saw this morning Adam Schefter say that the NFL is considering and probably will go to the XFL kickoff as early as this year. And he had his partner Jeff Darlington with him at the NFL meetings, and Darlington said only 20% of kickoffs in the NFL last year were returned. That's a problem. It's supposed to be the most exciting play to open the game, and we all know that, right? They might go to XFL kickoff this year. This morning, it looks like they've adopted banning the drop hip tackle. I don't even know what the hell that is. You explained it to me last week. The football people are going off, saying this is a major change in the game. And then we had a guy write in here about the rouge and eliminating it. Colin, he is from Victoria, BC, and we don't have time. Because, hey, Rod, I just came back from California. I've recorded your show, and I watch on one of your shows some guy who texts you about the CFL rouge change. I like his idea about keeping the rouge, but not when the ball lands outside the end zone boundaries. Colin in Victoria. Appreciate him writing in. But Darren, listen, we'll push this to the next hour. Rule changes aren't something I got a whole lot of time or interest for right now. I understand the football do because they got nothing else going on. You? Are you that interested?
No, I'm halfway there. And, I know the guy wrote in. That's always been my claim. And the only thing I would, modify in the Canadian Football League was I wouldn't get rid of the rouge, but I'd modify it.
Thank you. We'll kick this around more, including the NFL changes in hour 2, all right?
You bet.
We're going to Winnipeg next with Munz, legendary Winnipeg broadcaster. We'll be back in a moment on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Foreigner, live in Moose Jaw. Foreigner is back. The Farewell Canada Tour. You're as cold as ice. May 13th, the Moose Jaw Event Center. Foreigner, with special guest, Headpins. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca and the Moose Jaw Event Center box office. Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG. Always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
At the Key Auto Group Pre-Owned Division, we're bringing back that new car feeling. No matter what, it's new to you and priced just right. No hidden fees, prices you can trust, an upfront buying experience. And it's all at keyautogroup.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Another fantastic day of sports talk for you here on the RP Show. And by the way, when we talk hockey, it's brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Check them out at commoncrown.ca. And from the text line, the 902 line, Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba says, "Hi, Rod and Moose. I think the Blue Jays are now happy the Dodgers got Ohtani." Well, I'll tell you what. Let's bring Munzy in here, longtime Winnipeg broadcaster. I got a lot of NHL thoughts for Munzy, but hey, it's fun, Munzy. It's fun talking about a variety of sports. You're a golf guy. But with this, our poll question is, do you think Ohtani's guilty of any wrongdoing in this or not? What would you vote, yes or no?
You know what? I honestly have not paid any attention. So not the answer you were hoping for, Rod, to start the segment, but I've kind of got my head in the sand on
Fake
that one.
it!
Fake it.
That's all.
Of course.
Sorry to throw that at you.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course he did.
Coyotes,
yeah, exactly.
eh?
Okay, well,
Look at you flying the colors today.
I dug this out. I was looking for some stuff. Oh, I haven't worn this in a while. Yeah, it was buried under a lot of stuff. I'm sure you got a few of those T-shirts from back in the day.
I do.
The Winnipeg Jets. As a matter of fact, I got it here. I'm good, man. I'm great, man. Every day in Florida is great, as you know. And we're talking NHL hockey, which is fantastic. And in Washington last night, Alex Ovechkin scored twice to reach 26 on the season. Washington beat the Jets 3-0 to move back into a playoff position. How are they in Winnipeg today with the Jets having lost 3 in a row? I can't imagine.
Yeah, not really thrilled, obviously, but it's hard to say because you take a look at what has really been the entire year. It's been a 3-horse race, right? In this West Division or Western side of things right now, you've got Dallas, you've got Colorado, and you've got Winnipeg. And they've been kind of jockeying all the way through in those top 3 spots and really haven't had a push by anybody. So is the world on fire that they had a weekend that they probably are a New York road trip that they'd like to have more points on? Not really, because I think at this point right now, I think we're all fast forwarding the playoffs. And hey, Edmonton flew in here last night after their tough weekend. That's the big one, I think, that everybody has circled on the calendar coming up. It's a big week inside Canada Life Center. Oilers tomorrow night, and then the Vegas Golden Knights coming up on Thursday. And if you look at the expanded calendar right now for the Jets, they play every second night. So they're going to be busy going into the playoff run. But, they've pretty much got themselves a playoff spot cemented, which we're all excited about. Now it's just a matter of who they play and which of these really good teams is going to get knocked out in round 1.
Well, Munzy, the Jets have 11 games left, and as you say, that's not nailing down a playoff spot's merely a formality. You've called so many games in so many playoff series. I really want to know your take on momentum going into the playoffs. I've seen it mean a lot. I've seen it mean nothing. But I wonder what your take is on that and how important it is.
That's an interesting question because I think you can have an attorney on both sides and they'll give you a reason why you should have it or it doesn't matter. With 11 games left, as you allude to right now, I think they want to have more consistency in the wins. But in saying that, you look and I think it's them in Florida right now that have given up the least amount of goals of the 32 teams in the NHL. So they're not really worried about their defensive game. If you look at the big picture of what the Jets have been in this 23-24 NHL season, they gave up a lot, though, in their last two games, and I know they want to try and shore that up. So I think, again, probably not the water bottle, water cooler discussion right now that you're thinking, oh, no, this team's on fire. And if they were to start the playoffs right now, I think it's Colorado in the opening round, the way it was this morning. That's going to be a fantastic series. So I think overall, when you get there, you'll want to be playing your best hockey. So maybe don't blow it now, but you want to be feeling good about themselves. And they have had a couple of injuries, too, that have made a major impact on their roster here lately. So if and when they get a full roster ready to go come the middle of April here when playoffs begin, then I think there might be more of a desire for fans to see what that roster exactly looks like.
Sure, but it's like every year people get fooled and they forget until the playoffs start that it is a new season. And I'm not sure if you were still calling games for the Jets at the microphone at this time or not, but just remind me, they lost 9 in a row. They were like 1-9 in their last 10 going into the playoffs. It might have been a bubble season, and they swept the Oilers in round one. Remember that? And people were just going nuts.
Yeah.
If there was ever proof to me that it doesn't mean anything, it's that.
Well, wait until the Raiders upset the Blades in the opening round of the Western Hockey League playoffs, right? Can we start something right there? As you and I being former alumni in the booth for PA,
how about that?
Playoffs is a new season. Playoffs is a new season. There's no question about it. But and I think that's what makes it exciting right now is everybody wants to get there, but you still have 2 or 3 weeks to go in the NHL, or you've got this weekend in the Western Hockey League. Junior A playoffs are underway right now. It's the best time of the world if you're a hockey fan because you've got so much to keep an eye on.
I was going to say it's a little early in the day to be drinking if you think the Raiders are going to upset the Blades. I mean, if there was ever David and Goliath, now it does happen.
Yeah.
But I can't see it happening here. I'm actually really happy for the Blades. I'm really happy for the Blades, to be honest with you, because their ownership and management's been under so much fire over the years, and now they're sitting there with a Scotty Monroe. Yeah. Well, you totally blew my mind with that. I can't even remember what I was going to bring up next. Other than, I guess, how far do you think the Jets can reasonably go? The topic must come up like daily in Winnipeg. I'm sure it does.
Well, it does, but look at your computer this morning, right? Dallas, Colorado, Winnipeg. You look at what Nashville and Vegas are doing as of late right now. One of those 5 teams could play in the Stanley Cup final. And they're going to be knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. So that brings me to the question for you. And I know you've got your poll questions every day right now, and you were kind of discussing it a little bit earlier on. I'm a bit of a windshield wiper on this. I'm kind of going back and forth. Like, do I like the way the playoffs are right now with the wild card, or should it go back to 1 versus 8? And this came up to a couple.
It's coming up here too. Continue, but it's coming up here too. That was the talk the other night in the press box here.
So where's the answer right now for rivalries? Because I'm in Winnipeg, and the Jets' biggest rival is the Minnesota Wild. And you could say there's a pretty good rivalry there with Nashville. Why? Because they've had some really good playoff series with the Predators. They went to Game 7. I think it was back in 2018 when they had the big run all the way until they fell against Vegas. So that's the one side of saying, okay, if you play playoff hockey, it's going to give you something during the regular season. The other side of it is we're 6.5, 7 hours away proximity-wise from Minnesota. And early on, when the Jets moved here, everybody would invade south of the border down to the XL Energy Center, and that created a rivalry between the Jets and the Wild, and we haven't seen those teams play in the postseason. So I don't know, like, The tough part for me as a hockey fan is I want to see the Stars, the Avalanche, and the Jets move on past round one. And one of those three teams is getting knocked out that could legitimately play for a Stanley Cup final.
Sure. Well, almost every time when leagues are faced with a situation like this, they make a knee-jerk reaction and change. And I'm often the one saying it's just 1 year, but they go and change everything. Like here the other night in the press box, who were they playing? Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Nashville on Thursday. And there was that whole thing, 1 versus 8. They're like, Tampa Bay's got more points as a wild card team than the third place team in the Metropolitan. And we want the best matchups. Should be 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7. Everything's all screwed up. And I'm like, guys, they changed it back in the day for a reason, right? And that reason now doesn't exist. It's 1 year. And they did it for the rivalries, like you say. So, but before that, let me just leave you on this because we have to break. But do you think they'll change it, Munzy? You've been around the NHL a long time. Do you think they'll change it this summer?
No, I don't think they will. I think it's fantastic fodder, though, for shows like you have right now and for us to look at because it is cyclical. There's no question. Like when teams are good, then all of a sudden it's okay. There's a weird little rush, or if teams have stocked up. Like you look at the moves that Colorado and Winnipeg made. Dallas kind of stayed for the most part where they were. But again, one of those three teams is not going to advance into the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs and legitimately could win a Stanley Cup this year. It's great for the game. It's great for all of us. Like it is going to make round one of the Stanley Cup playoffs, which is another big part of it. Everybody's going to be watching. And you're not going to just turn on your television when you get to the final two.
We always watch all the time, Munzy. And the thing is, you want more great teams. I'm with you all that. It's great for the game. It sucks for the teams. But you know what? It's the way it is, man. It's just, sometimes things just happen. Okay, let's do this again, man, sooner than later. Thank you.
Anytime. Go Raiders.
Brian Biggie Munz. Listen, I got to talk about the Pats when we come back on the Warriors in the 6-on-6 brawl. I will address it today, maybe next. We'll be right back on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now back to the studio with Rod.
Holy smokes, we got a ton of comments here to get to. I don't even know where to start. Let me go with breaking news on this Monday. The NFL is eliminating the hip drop tackle. NFL team owners today unanimously approved a rule that bans players from using a swivel technique to tackle an opponent. A violation will result in a 15-yard penalty and could ultimately result in fines for players. Go to Adam Schefter's Twitter or Instagram, and he has got a clip of that play. NFL executive Jeff Miller said the hip drop tackle was used 230 times last season and resulted in 15 players missing time with injuries. The NFL Players Association has opposed the rule. And I just texted a football guy of mine. I'm not going to say where or how, but I just said, how significant is this hip drop tackle ruling? He just wrote me back one word: major. So I feel like we're not done with that. Trey Turner and Alec Boehm drove in 2 early runs, and the Philadelphia Phillies held on the rest of the way en route to a 2-0 win over the Blue Jays in preseason baseball action today. It was Toronto's third, that was Sunday actually. It was Toronto's third loss in a row. Sports Update brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca, and for Landmark Cinemas in theaters Friday, Godzilla and Kong, The New Empire. The epic battle continues. Legendary Pictures cinematic Monsterverse follows up the explosive showdown of Godzilla vs. Kong with an all-new adventure that pits the almighty Kong and the fearsome Godzilla against a colossal, undiscovered threat hidden within our world, challenging their very existence and our own. Starring Rebecca Hall, Dan Stevens, and Rachel House. In theaters, Landmark Cinemas Friday, Godzilla and Kong. We're going to have to push this to next hour. But you know what? With the WHL playoffs at hand, junior playoffs all across the country, we got to address it. Now's the time to talk about it. And the Shohei stuff, yeah, they're not done with that. So, hey, just sit tight through this quick pause, okay? We've got a ton to get to right after this break on Game Plus and Key Radio.
At the Key Auto Group Pre-Owned Division, we're bringing back that new car feeling. No matter what, it's new to you and priced just right. No hidden fees, prices you can trust, an upfront buying experience. And it's all at keyautogroup.ca.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Right now.
Realizing I watched a lot of television with the youngsters back in the day.
How about that?
I'll say it again. That cab driver in Bucha Rios, Mexico, when he said, "Señor, your español es mucho bueno." Why is that? I said, Dora the Explorer. That's why I learned so much Spanish.
I got to brush up on my Spanish, though.
Yes, you do. ¿Cómo estás? Uno más, por favor.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
That is an absolute true story. They all are on this show. Welcome on up inside, everybody. The RP Show, Hour 2. And oh, my God, what a great day to be opening the week in terms of a lot of sports topics on the table here. Let's bring in the Moose, Darren Moose DuPont. He is in Palm Springs, California. I'm slumming it here in South Florida. And we're on national television in Canada, Game Plus, 31 U.S. states, and on the radio in Atlanta. And maybe you're watching us or listening to us later on a podcast. I appreciate you doing so. Darren, we got, oh my goodness, so much to get to here. But let me just say this before I go any further. Last hour, we had Brian Munz with us, many years, broadcaster for the Winnipeg Jets. He did Edmonton Roadrunners in the American Hockey League, Prince Albert Raiders in Junior, Melfort Mustangs, and that whole trio. And I asked him about Shohei Ohtani, which is our big story. I don't know if you were watching or not, but I just said, hey, Munzie, what would you vote? Do you think he's guilty of any wrongdoing or not? That's our poll today for Key Auto Group. And he's like, I'm not even following it. I abstain, which is totally fine. I get it. And now he's with Golf Manitoba, by the way, so his head is buried in that. But my thing is, I enjoy studying up on all of this stuff. I think people forget, and they need to know that I spent combined 40 seasons as the voice of a team, the play-by-play voice. It's all you have time for. It's okay, but this is way better. I think it keeps your brain more active. It's my homework, and yours is watching Sports Center and games and reading up on this stuff. It's so bloody fun. So that's why I like what I'm doing versus what I used to do. And it's just a change, right? And change is good. I think you like this too, right?
Oh, yeah, it is. And, staying, abreast of these topics and forming opinions and seeing where things go. I think it's great. I'm a, somebody who likes to do a little bit of a lot of different things and, stay abreast of all of it. And I think it's what makes this interesting. Always something new.
We're way different than every other sports show, right? Not any, run-of-the-mill program. And listen, I want to read this to you. Nobody knows this, and I don't care. Joe's going to be mad, our COO. I don't care. Because we got a testimonial have you read this from the people in Moosomin at the curling that you were at last week?
I saw it come in. I haven't looked at it yet.
Well, I'm going to read it.
Hit me.
This is from my good friend, Mike Schwain. He's the town rec director, Moosomin Sask, and he did a testimonial for the event that Darren was at last week, and this show was involved. Remember we brought those firefighters on? Not you, just to the viewers. The firefighters last week, the 62nd Canadian Firefighters Championship. This is from Mike. He says, on behalf of the Canadian National Firefighters Curling Championships, the Moosomin Host Committee, please accept this as our testimonial. The entire process was just perfect. First off, it was a pleasure working with Mr. Joe Gunnis to book the show. Prompt, professional, and friendly. Are we talking about the same guy? Next, we worked with Michelle Wicker. After 2 phone calls, it was like we were longtime friends. She's amazing. So as for the show, we've done multiple events with Rod. He's our go-to guy for this type of event, and honestly, he is the best. He can work out interview, or he can work a community with an amazing sixth sense. Finally, this event was my first opportunity to meet Darren. Are you ready for that? Are you ready? Hold on to your toupee, Moose. He is an absolute gem. First off, he is as friendly and personable as anyone I've ever met. Secondly, like Rod, he has an ability to work any situation in your event's favor. It was my absolute treat to spend the day with Darren, and he went above and beyond to ensure our event was a success. If you're looking for a host for a speaking event, trust me, Rod and Darren are your answer. How about that? You got something for that, Clark?
How about that?
Have you got something for that?
Right on.
Yeah, okay, thank you. There you go. Sold. That's the one. That's the one. Okay, just to bring this around where we opened this show. This is the big story today, folks. I just want to update you. Shohei Ohtani plans to speak to the media today for the first time since the illegal gambling and theft allegations involving the Dodgers star and his interpreter emerged during the team's trip to South Korea. By now, I think we all know where we're at. The MLB gambling policy is posted in every clubhouse. Betting on baseball is punishable by a 1-year ban. The penalty for betting on other sports illegally is at the commissioner's discretion. Our poll question for Key Auto Group today is, do you think Shohei Ohtani is guilty of any wrongdoing here? Clark, what are they saying on YouTube, if you don't mind? Because last we looked, 59% said yes. What are they? Hey, now it's 50-50. And that, according to Clark, I think you heard him, and maybe we convince people. I want to believe there are good people in the world. I want to believe that people don't lie. That's my choice to want to believe that because, frankly, it's a better way to look at life. I don't know. We're both saying we don't think he's guilty of anything, right? Isn't that not what you voted?
Yeah. I'm still a little cautious. I was the one that brought up where there's smoke, there's fire, that there's something here. It's not just, money slipped out of his pocket. But I'd like to believe if he says there's, he didn't know what's going on, I have no reason not to believe what comes out of Shohei's mouth. He's never said anything to me, or I haven't heard any lies from Shohei to make me think that he's not telling the truth.
Right. Until he's proved wrong. But for now, can we at least wait?
Yes.
And that's the funny thing with Brian and Hudson's Bay. He said last hour, he's like, if I lost $4 million was missing, I'd notice. I'm like, yeah, you, but not Shohei, which is $700 million contract U.S. Brian has written back, and it's kind of funny. He says, so you're saying Shohei isn't waiting and checking his account every day to see if his $500 tax refund has been put in yet? LOL, says Brian in Hudson's Bay. He goes, I can see how a guy like him could miss that amount without even knowing. Be like losing $100 for a normal working guy. That's all that I'm saying. I am around these guys all the time. They are not living in reality. That's just a fact. They could go missing $4 million and never know. Forget about finding out one day they wouldn't even know. Right?
Wouldn't even know.
That's why I think this guy probably had access to his accounts and bet for him or using his name, and I believe he's innocent. That's all. Now, to the reason a lot of people came here today, I understand. It's so funny because you know my guy Chris from the Bronx. I love him. I've told him that, but he's like, when you start talking about the junior hockey, yeah, or is that curling over yet? Like, Chris, this is what this show was built on. So we're going to talk about it. You know, so learn about it or don't watch. And the reason, and I love him, so hey, he's not offended. He might not even be watching right now, I'm not sure. But the junior hockey playoffs are at hand. It's in my DNA. It's in Darren's DNA. It's in Clark's DNA. A lot of it's just our thing. Okay? It's like March Madness, but for Canada. That's just not promoted as such or by anybody. So, it's Monday, okay? And you know that these towns are just stage 5 gong show, right? Getting ready for the start of the playoffs this upcoming weekend in the Western League. But for my team, now let me back up a sec. Munz was here last week and predicted the PA Raiders will upset the Raiders in round 1. He was the voice of the Raiders. As was I, but the simple fact remains, I was there for 2 seasons, and the second the Regina Pats job came open, I jumped at it because that was my dream job. Fact. So, this is my point that I'm getting to, for those that don't know, and we have texts that have come in on this from hockey people. Saturday night, the Regina Pats were playing their last game of the year. One night after they honored the 1974 Memorial Cup champion Pats in our barn in Regina, but I digress. Pats get spanked 11-1 in Moose Jaw. Speedboated by the Moose Jaw Warriors, who are on the way to the playoffs, finishing second in the whole loop, and the Pats are going to miss. And a brawl starts, and the Pats are mad that the Warriors left out their top key guys in the power play and didn't call off the Dogs in an 11-1 eventual victory. Brawled. They were still complaining about it the next day, the Pats coach and the general manager. My thing, it was unsightly and distasteful, and that's coming from a Pats fan. We've all been around this a long time. Sometimes you just got to take your lumps, get better, and come back when they're bigger, brother, and you can start laying the wumping. That's it. You got to take your lumps. There's more to this than that, but I'll just stop. Perry Shockey has written in. Perry S. Hockey, a guy that's coached both teams. He's written in on the Sober Carpenter text line, 902-518-3033. He writes that he says, Rod, the other night when the Warriors gave the Pats a drubbing, it'll come back to bite them. The year we went to the Memorial Cup, we attributed our success was
That was Rod? And here I thought it was my connection that was dropping out. I moved to a better part of the house, so life is good. Okay. I'm curious to see what Perry Shockey is texting in there. Also, Clark, just so you know, I don't have a clock. So how are we doing on time? Time check me. Okay.
Okay. I didn't do a thing. You might want to wear a watch, Darren. I saw the whole thing. What was the last thing you heard? What was the last thing you heard?
Yeah. It'll come back to bite them. When I coached, we went into the Memorial Cup, and then it cut out.
Yeah, he said we attributed our success was we could play our third and fourth line. So when we got up in games, we'd play our third and fourth lines. We gave the bulk of the ice time to those guys. Reality is Byron Ritchie forfeited winning the scoring race in order for those players to gain confidence and experience. The next year with the Pats was very similar. What killed us was losing Josh Holden and Kyle Calder and our cast of core players. We were deeper than the Canes team. Yes, well, injuries took us down. That's a story for another time. But you're all the way down there in Southern California. And I hope people are starting to get their minds around something, because I had a scout, it might be for Chicago, who said to me, it's kind of weird seeing you sit in Florida talk about the Pats, but it's still good. I'm like, get your mind around it, bro. It's 2024. People are dotted all over the world working. It's the way it is. We can still follow what's going on, but live where we want to live. So that's my take. Take your lumps. And that's from nobody loves the Pats more than me. You got embarrassed. Stop them. I think Alan Miller went way over the top, the general manager, and I like him a lot, personally and professionally. Do you have a take on this?
I see why the Pats have a problem with it. I mean, I would have a problem with it if I was them too. You never want to see teams rub it in, keep pouring it on. And on the one hand, though, you could have the same feeling if the game was 5-1. But if you're the other team, it's like, well, if we let up and you come back to win, then what are we going to do? But at 11-1, the Pats aren't coming back from that. But at the same time, you just lost 11-1. You could be upset in the moment and in the game and think this is BS and be really upset. But once that game's over, you got to take the lump, I think, and move on. But take a number and come back next year and get your payback on the ice next season.
See, that's what I think. But you and I just think differently. Like, you are like, dare I say, Jordan Eberle. The mic and the cameras are on, but then they shut them off and you say something totally different. That's fine. I'm not criticizing you. That's the way you guys are. Like the night in Swift Current in the All-Star game. He grabs the mic, he's the MVP, and he goes, such a joy to play in front of you people in Swift Current. Thanks for filling this rink. It was a great night. See you next game. Way to go. Thanks for having us. Turns the mic off. We drive home. I said, you hate those people. He goes, I know, but they don't need to know that. Right? That's something you would do. And I would be at center ice saying, I hate you and you and you and you. I hate you all. But see, there's a difference. With Winnipeg, that's why I think we are so popular in Winnipeg with viewers, and our numbers show us that, is they're like me. What did I tell you? We would go into Winnipeg with the Rough Riders, and they wouldn't stab you in the back. They'd stab you in the front. And I respect that. So the second I left the Rough Riders, boom, our viewership went in Winnipeg. Because they get it. They're the same as me. Whereas Calgary, they're like you. They not only did they acted like they didn't even know me when I got there. I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Winnipeg at least flipped. It took so long in Calgary. I kicked so much ass. I kept lip selling business. Right? So, yeah, I had to pay for the things that I said. But in Winnipeg, they respected it. See what I'm saying?
It tells you a lot about authenticity, Rod, right? You be yourself, and then also, you're going to piss a lot of people off by being you and doing what's good for you. But you know what? You're going to be happy. And as long as you just are aware to find your people, right? And, Winnipeg's your people, right? And there's going to be places that respect it.
So is Calgary, too. But the point is, in Calgary, I had to say, guys, it was a rivalry. I'm not with them anymore. And then they all kind of got over it, most of them. Hey, we do have to break, but we got a million. Dave, we have a lot of messages from viewers. Dave writes in from Sydney, Nova Scotia. And he says, happy Monday, Rod. Quick shout out to Team Homan, our new world champs. I've been to lots of great sporting events, but that was one of the coolest ever. So thrilled to be in Center 200 last night to witness such greatness. And there are a lot more messages that have come in regarding Shohei, so we have a lot of comments there. I will just say this about my dad. My dad often said this about himself. If I don't know you, if I don't like you, you'll know I don't like you. And that's why I am the way that I am. I learned from him. Seemed to be fine for him. We'll be back on the way. John Hodge from 3downnation.com. We are live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Hey, everybody, it's going fast, and that's the show, but so are these memberships for Landmark Extras. Reward your love for movies by signing up for free today for Landmark Extras. What you get is more of what you love. Free movies, concession items, invitations to exclusive screenings, which Darren and I have gone to. It's a lot of fun. They really treat you well. Special events and more. Visit landmarkcinemas.com for details and to sign up yourself. Let's bring Moose in. He's in Southern California. I'm in South Florida. How about that? Lucky us. I do want to get to the breaking news today, Darren, that the NFL is banning hip drop this year, and if you're guilty of it, it'll be a 15-yard penalty. But before we go any further, on the Shohei thing, I'd simply want your opinion on this because I value it, and that's the truth. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in on the Sober Carpenter text line, and he says, "Hi, Rod and Moose. I think the Blue Jays are now happy the Dodgers got Ohtani." And man, I could spend 2 hours on that. I'm seeing a lot of that, right, on social media and so forth, where people are saying, oh, they dodged the bullet, not having to deal with that headache. And I'm like, I get the refrain. I get it. I'm not sure I go along with that, though. Who wants the headache? Well, he's the best player in baseball. That's what I would want. Sometimes you got to put up with a headache, right? That's what I think. I don't think the Blue Jays should feel lucky. But do you? Maybe you feel differently.
No, but I think fans look at this and think, okay, we didn't get him. Oh, you got to deal with that. Somebody might be envious or, jealous that you moved to Florida, might be jealous of you and then want to laugh at you when the hurricane rolls through. Well, At least, I don't want to deal with the Hurricanes. If bitter Jays fans that are disappointed we didn't get Shohei will say, wow, we didn't want him now. We don't even want him. It's just bad taste. He's still going to play unless something comes out of this that we're not expecting. Like, I'm not expecting Shohei Ohtani to be suspended at this point, but we'll see what happens in this, appearance today. If he gets suspended for the year, then sure, maybe the Jays dodged a 1-year bullet, or if he ends up with a big penalty, maybe. But overall, no. I think they're still rolling in it. Look, at opening day is on the 28th. I looked. I'm in Southern California. I'll be here still. I was looking at tickets to try and go watch the Dodgers play. I can't get them. And if I want to go, it's going to cost me hundreds of dollars, if not $1,000, to go to the ball game. That's what Shohei's done. So I don't think they're regretting it.
No. So I'm seeing a lot of that mentality and commentary out there. I don't agree. Number one, he's not even been proven guilty of anything yet. So what? You're glad you dodged the headache? You don't want the best player in baseball? I don't understand that way of thinking. From the Twitter account, Vintage Sasko writes the RP show and says, I'm betting $25 that Shohei is innocent of any gambling shenanigans. Signed, Pete Rose. Signed, Pete Rose.
Jeez.
There's some funny stuff coming out about all of this, right? There is. And then back to Pete Rose. I don't understand. Pete Rose is angry that people are defending Shohei. Oh, I need to my head's starting to hurt. I'm not joking. Pete, shut up. Go away. Do you know how many old, bitter, retired, bitter sports people there are? And I'll put media in that too. Just shut up. I don't want to hear from Pete Rose. Do you?
I know. No, I know. And we went through this, honestly, when the country legalized cannabis across Canada. And a bunch of people who got convicted of it said, well, why am I convicted of it? Because when you did it, it was illegal. And what you did was illegal at the time, right? And they're making some reversals there. It's the same with Reggie Bush and the Heisman, when players are now getting paid. Well, you weren't allowed to get paid. You broke the rules. And they're still not allowed to gamble. So I don't know what the deal is with Pete Rose here. He gambled, and he's paying for it. If Shohei is found to have gambled, he'll pay for it too.
Unless Pete Rose was the first ever victim of cancel culture. Wait a minute. No, Jesus Christ was. If Pete Rose was the second person that was affected by cancel culture and he didn't do anything wrong, I can see why he's so mad. You know what I mean? Like, there was no proof that Pete Rose did bet on baseball, yet baseball banned him because they thought that's what the public wanted. That to me is cancel culture. You know what I mean? But I'm of the mind that Pete Rose did it. That's the sense that I get, so shut up. Okay. We are coming back on the football. Rule changes, trust me. But it's such a football-y thing to talk about rule changes in March when there's nothing else going on. Got to be honest, man. As a junior hockey guy and a hockey guy, I'm horny for the playoffs. I'm sorry. And what happened in Moose Jaw the other night in the brawl? Shocks wrote back with regards to the Warriors leaving out their top guys and running up the score on Regina 11-1. He has written back. Perry has coached a lot of games in the dub and scouted for the LA Kings. He said, I would have not had a problem if there was some dispersion of players where weaker players got to play with quality players. It would have been more of a tempered attack. Okay, don't put out all your best players. Put out some rookies and your best players. He goes, WHL teams are partners in franchises and should protect their products. Oh, yeah, we're all partners. Let's all hold hands. Let's all play, sing Kumbaya, until we're not. Shocks, come on. You're old school like me. Don't go soft on me now. Shad Ricky is watching in Brandon, Manitoba. And he writes in on the 902, so he was our trainer, the rock and roll trainer. Shad Ricky, you know of Shad. He writes in and says, just think how Game 1, Warriors-Pats in the fall of 2024 is going to be. They should start selling tickets now. Signed, Shad in Regina. See, this has got people wound up, and the Pats aren't even in the playoffs. So, anyways, I just wanted to read those. We talked last hour about the Blades and the Raiders, and Munz predicted an upset for PA, but he has to. He's alum. You're the Blades guy? You're the Blades guy. What do you think's going to happen? 4?
Yeah,
Any more than 4?
And on Thursday morning, I'm going to be going on radio in Saskatchewan on CBC and talking about the series. And it's going to be, you know what? It's great. As a Blades alum in the booth, they're one of the top teams in the country. So that's pretty great. You know, they've got their first 50-goal scorer in Igor Sidorov. First time since, I believe, 95, 96 that the Blades have had a 50-goal scorer. He got it in that last game on Friday night against the Prince Albert Raiders. It's your biggest rival down the highway. They've sold 11,000 tickets already, I believe, for the Game 1. It's going to be a great series. And here's the thing I know about the playoffs. Doesn't matter if you're 1st or 8th in the Western League, if you're the Blades or the Raiders, it's going to be a close series. Especially when you play a rival like that, it's going to be fun. I don't want to put the bulletin board material out there and say, but the Blades are going to roll through the series, even if I think that they are. I think it's going to be a good series, Rod, and I think the Blades are going to have a fun spring. I think they've got as good a chance this year and as good of a team as they've had in my memory.
And I'll say this again. I'm happy for them. I'm happy for them. Career Pats guy here. That's never going to change. But I like the Blades gear. I like the Blades alum. I like a lot to do with the Saskatoon Blades. But that ownership group has put up with a lot of guff. And let me just say this. I'm not going to name the guy, but the guy said to me, he goes, those guys in Saskatoon make the Pats look like the Chicago Blackhawks. And I'm like, not possible. There's no way that that the Pats are more professional at that time. He's like, I'm telling you. And here they are. The Pats haven't won a Scotty Monroe trophy, I don't know, ever. Have they, Shad? So the Blades have kind of shoved this where the sun don't shine. Now, it's only Monday. Let's walk it back. We got a long week, long spring to talk about this stuff. So the breaking news is this. Here's the breaking news of the day. The NFL is eliminating the hip drop tackle. NFL team owners today unanimously approved a rule that bans players from using a swivel technique to tackle an opponent. A violation will result in a 15-yard penalty. NFL executive Jeff Miller said the hip drop tackle was used 230 times last season and resulted in 15 players missing time with injuries. The NFL Players Association has opposed the rule. They're basically appealing today's news. And Brian in Hudson's Bay is written in on the Sober Carpenter text line, and he says, what is a hip drop tackle? Do you want to take that one, Moose?
I'm not a defensive guy, and I feel like I want to make sure I get this right. But, you know, the hip drop tackle, because they try and go low, right? And it's exactly how it sounds. I'm not going to be able to explain it as good as, you know, a defensive guy will be able to. But they're trying to protect the knees. They're trying to protect the lower body of the offensive players. When you go low, you can't, you know, go after the knees and chop block. So you drop your hips down and go really low. And they're trying to eliminate that from the game. They want you to try and tackle higher and bring the contact away from your knees of players. We've seen that a couple of times with tight ends who were, you know, hurt. So that's where the rule comes in. It's, again, an aim. Everything seems to be an aim for player safety. The players don't want to be walking around with canes and walkers at the end of their career. They have more power. So they're pushing for these rules to be updated.
Thank you, Moose, for that. We are like literally Golden Corral here of sports. There's a lot of topics on the table, man.
I need you here, by the way, if I can. We drove past 3 Golden Corrals yesterday coming back in from L.A.
Yeah.
And Leanne won't go to one. She's like, if you want to go, you're on your own. I'm like, if Rod was here, he'd go with me. We'd go in a heartbeat to the Golden Corral.
There's something women have against buffets and RVs. I don't know what it is. I was shocked. 2 Sundays ago, Serena goes, do you want to go to Golden Corral? I'm like, yes, I've been waiting for this. So we went because they had a special on chicken tenders and butterfly shrimp. And the guy at the next table, we got to get Serena on here again. Guy at the next table, guy and his wife, he's eating a salad. It was a Sunday morning. It looked like they'd just come from church. And she leans over and goes, tell me you're not just eating salad. And the guy's like, oh, no, just warming up. Carlos in Indianapolis says, if you change enough rules and you won't recognize the game, that goes for any sport, not just football. Here we go. From Jeff, the Stamps fan. J.J. Watt was asked what a hip drop tackle was. His response was, no idea. John Kirby in Edmonton says, now people want Ron McLean canceled because of his comments he made on Hockey Night in Canada. I know, John. Go read my Sunday column. Next, not getting into it. The cancel culture people, their voice is getting smaller by the day. Have you noticed? I think they got nobody left to cancel anymore. You have to start canceling themselves, and nobody wants to do that. Paul in Humboldt writes in regarding Shohei missing $4 million. He says, perspective, if a guy making $75,000 lost $400 to a friend, would you blame the victim? I think you need to spell that out more clearly, Paul. Who's the victim in this scenario? Who's the victim? Perspective, if a guy making 75 grand lost 400 to a friend, would you blame the victim? Who's the victim? Because he lost the money? We don't know. I'm sorry. You lost me. Real quick, picks tonight in the NHL, Darren. Vegas at St. Louis. Who wins?
St. Louis.
Oh, good, because I got Vegas. And the Kings at Vancouver.
I will take Vancouver tonight.
Okay, I'll take L.A. That worked out great. You're done. Go enjoy the Q-tips.
Thank you.
John Hodges next from 3downnation.com. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
All right, daytime television is just so much fun. Daytime live television because it's breaking news. Let's please bring in John Hodge from 3downnation.com. Obviously, we're going to do a CFL Combine wrap with John. Thanks, John, for coming on, by the way. And how awesome was it that the CFL was in your backyard? But can I ask you this? See, NFL owners moving to ban the hip drop tackle today. J.J. Watt saying he doesn't even know what it is. My guy Zig Fracassi at NFL Radio goes, maybe they should ban Thursday Night Football. That'll be good for player safety, too. Do you have any take on this today?
I mean, not particularly. I think anytime you change the rules to any sport, there's going to be a challenging adjustment period. So whatever you do as the NFL, hopefully they do a good job of explaining, right? Whatever this exact rule change is going to be, they show players proper examples and allow teams to educate those players properly. Otherwise, the first couple weeks of the season are inevitably, right, going to be controversial. There's going to be hip drop tackles that are not penalized. There's going to be hip drop tackles that probably weren't hip drop tackles that are going to be penalized. It's not dissimilar, I think, to when the CFL banned the horse collar tackle, right? There's going to be an adjustment period, and hopefully the NFL makes that transition as best they can.
Good answer. Good answer. Feel like Family Feud. Good answer. That's like the CFL when it banned the tourist hit. Nobody even knew what that was. So leave it up to them. They need to explain it properly. And 15 players were hurt because of this last season in the NFL, we understand. So hopefully it's what's best for the game. Now, enough about that. You spent all weekend at the CFL Combine. Maybe on the topic of rules changes, do you really believe that we have some significant ones coming in the CFL this year from what you heard?
Well, the Rules Committee had essentially convened by the time the CFL Combine got underway. So I did run into Solomon Elamimian and Brian Ramsey from the CFLPA. Also Adam Bighill, of course, active middle linebacker for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who was there as a PA rep. Randy Ambrosi was there just the Tuesday night and then into the Wednesday. It's not something that I poked around about a whole heck of a lot because reportedly the committee didn't decide anything, at least as of now. Personally, yeah. I'm of the opinion that the game is more or less fine the way it is. Though I do think it should be said that when it comes to big play returns, if you look at the actual numbers for big play returns and specifically return touchdowns, missed field goals are massive, right? Punt returns, there are a lot of them, and then kickoff return is like a very, very distant third, right? Kickoffs, I'm not going to call a non-play. There are certainly a non-play in the NFL. They are not a non-play in the CFL, but they do produce the fewest big plays. So I guess I would call myself an agnostic if I were to offer my personal opinion. Doesn't particularly offend me if the kickoff changes. I'm also fine leaving it the way it is.
Isn't it interesting, though, the difference, and you would know this more than anybody, the difference between American rules, NFL football, and CFL football. It's like night and day. It's like they just call themselves the same thing, but that's about it. Like there was only 20% of NFL kickoffs for return last year. The CFL would be exponentially higher than that. Like, it is a major change. Where they are similar is player safety, and that's the one thing the CFL is very, very serious on, and I give Randy Ambrosie credit for that. I think that's because he was a player. He is serious about it. What's your report on the Combine? If it wasn't as much rule changes, what was, John?
I mean, I'm a big nerd for the player evaluation, so I was thoroughly enjoying getting the opportunity to interact with players, interview players, watch them perform on the field. The Winnipeg Soccer North Federation, the building where the on-field portions took place, got rave reviews from personnel people, from the players themselves. They really enjoyed the surface. And then there was a great 360-degree viewing area around the field that made it really easy to watch everything live. I filmed a number of the reps myself so I can watch them later. I've yet to watch the CFL.ca live stream, but I'm looking forward to doing that on replay later today, if not tomorrow, just to see more of the receiver DB one-on-ones. I was paying very close attention to the O-line, D-line one-on-ones, simply because you don't get as much exposure to those guys as you maybe do on the college film or you do in the media. Obviously, offensive linemen don't have stat sheets. Receivers, you can look at the stat sheet, you can look at the measurables, and I'm not saying that that's all the scouting you do, but you can kind of project and understand what a guy is. Offensive line is a different story. So those are the guys I was paying most close attention to. And again, I'm looking forward to getting the opportunity to review more of their film over the coming days and weeks as I work towards my next mock draft. As for the Combine itself, I mean, again, the Winnipeg Soccer North Federation building got a great review. The Hotel Fort Garry was a lot of fun, and it was great. All in all, I thought it was a great event. The Combine underwent a change last year to kind of expand it, have more on-field practices. The only complaint I would have really is, and these are largely unavoidable things, is a number of players. I don't know if they just went too intense on day one, but a lot of players were nicked up for day 2 and 3 of practice. And then something that is probably unavoidable is a bunch of players caught a stomach flu the third day. And so the numbers were a little thin. But again, I don't think that's something you can blame on anyone in particular. It's just more of a bad, poor happenstance than anything else.
It's really interesting that you talk about the measurables and you being a nerd for it. I mean, my dad was a scout for 26 years in the NHL. He was that type of nerd. So I know that it's a science, but what I also know is it's an inexact science, but it's still very important to do, right? It's not going to tell you who the best player is going to be, but it's going to give you a much better idea than if you didn't have a Combine, right? And have the opportunity to do interviews and do the measurables.
Yeah, and I mean, the Combine, I don't think is going to drastically change anybody's board. If players have been if scouts and teams have been doing the work on these players, there shouldn't be any crazy surprises. But obviously, watching film, you're not able to get maybe a really good sense of a player's measurables. I do think there's value in that just to kind of set a baseline. The U Sports Prospects, for instance, have East-West Bowl where they do all these testing events the year before. And I've talked to scouts who've said, look, if a guy at East-West, let's say, does 12 reps on the bench, I don't particularly care what he does, after that, because he's a receiver and 12 reps, frankly, is good enough. But if he comes to the Combine and does 9, then that's a pretty clear indication that over the last 12 months, right, or whatever it is, he hasn't been hitting the gym, right? He's not been taking this seriously. If he does 12 at East-West and he comes back and he does 17, then it's like, holy smokes, this guy is not resting on his laurels. This is a guy who is a gym rat who's going to be there. So that's, I think, a big part of the testing mattering. And then the more important side of it, I think, is the interview process, right? There are players in this draft, and this is going to be the norm moving forward, for better or worse, from the NCAA side of things anyway, where they've played at literally 3 or even 4 different schools. And teams want to ask those questions of, why did you move here? Why did you move there? Hey, you went to this new school and had no production. What was the story there? Hey, you were reportedly injured in 2021. What really happened? Tell us your side of the story. And so those interviews and the answers that players are able to give, I think, are arguably the more important thing, because oftentimes in these draft rooms, you have a situation where you've got 2 players at the same position. Measurables are more or less the same. The film grade is more or less the same. And it comes down to who is the better fit, right, for this team. Which player's personality do we like the most? Which one is going to be the most fun to spend time with, or who is going to be the one who riles everybody up and serves as a leader, right? Those are the types of decisions that teams need to make. Because at the end of the day, right, if you're looking for a 6th-round pick or a 7th-round pick, a player's personality could be the difference between whether or not you take him.
Yeah, well, it sounds to me from what I've read at 3 Down, I've had a Joe on this show. I was following the combine. Sounds like he's the next Duron Carter. Let me ask you this. Would you take a Joe based on what you've seen in the last week?
Well, I should clarify, I didn't speak to a Joe personally. My colleague JC Abbott did that interview and wrote a great column on it. Certainly it was a disappointing performance. We're going to be publishing our risers and fallers at 3 Down over the next couple days. A Joe will be a faller. That's simply because he came in on the top 20 Scouting Bureau rankings, and those rankings admittedly can be a little bit flawed. But he was still somebody who was recruited to Clemson, right? Coming out of high school. He did go to the States for the tail end of his high school career, but he was a 224-pound receiver who was part of the number 3 ranked recruiting class in the entire NCAA that year when he went to the Tigers. And then over the course of his career, he went to lesser and lesser programs, eventually ending up at the junior college level at Garden City this past year, where he played some tight end. And then he comes to the combine at 212 pounds. That's less than he weighed coming out of high school. And he was the slowest of all the receivers there with a 4.85 40-yard dash. Now, are there stories of players having terrible combines and then having solid careers? The answer is yes. And I'm not writing off a Joe. Would I draft him at the right spot? Absolutely. I think, however, the issue was a Joe is coming into the draft, or pardon me, coming into the combine, looking to show that he was a 2nd-round pick, maybe a 3rd-round guy. And the reality is that's just not the case anymore. This is a really deep receiver class. There's no reason for anybody to reach on somebody. To me, he looks now more like a late-round pick.
Big talent for sure, and fun to watch. John, thanks for this insight. Keep up the great work. Loving 3 Down as we always do, man. Thanks for fitting us in today.
Thanks for having me, Rod.
John Hodge from 3downnation.com. We'll be right back with Overtime after this. We're live on the Game Plus TV network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Foreigner, live in Moose Jaw. Foreigner is back. The Farewell Canada Tour. You're as cold as ice. May 13th, the Moose Jaw Event Center. Foreigner, with special guest, Headpins. Tickets on sale now at sasktix.ca and the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name is Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
At the Key Auto Group Pre-Owned Division, we're bringing back that new car feeling. No matter what, it's new to you and priced just right. No hidden fees, prices you can trust, an upfront buying experience. And it's all at keyautogroup.ca.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Okay, if you do have something to say, you better get it in now. Sober Carpenter text line 902-518-3033. Sober Carpenter, non-alcoholic craft beers. Ask for them by name at your local beer, wine, and spirit store. I had a buddy send me a photo of himself watching it, drinking it, watching hockey Saturday night. I said, careful of that stuff. He said, the hockey or the Sober Carpenter? Both. Moderation, people. Apparently there's this thing called moderation. It took me a long time to find it. Hey, Overtime is brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes. Randy, I meant to send you a text this morning. See how your hockey camp went on Friday, the skills camp. If you missed it, check out their summer camps at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. They're packing that place. Go check it out. Call ahead if you're booking a lane. And it's where skill and fun collide. 28th Street, Northeast Calgary. Sports update here. The NFL is eliminating the hip drop tackle. Here's the breaking news of the day. NFL team owners today unanimously approved a rule that bans players from using a swivel technique to tackle an opponent. A violation will result in a 15-yard penalty and could ultimately result in fines for players. NFL executive Jeff Miller said the hip drop tackle was used 230 times in the NFL last year and resulted in 15 players missing time with injuries. The NFLPA has opposed the rule. I'm not sure how many games there are in the NFL. I could add it up right now, actually. Let's just do that for fun. You know how good I am at math, right? 32 teams times, there's 17 games, 540. So 1 every 2 games this happens. I don't know. I did send a note to a football friend of mine here in the States. I said, how significant is this? He said, it's major. Okay. That's the day's news in football. Peter Malnati is a PGA Tour winner again, and this time is going to the Masters. Malnati shot a 67 to win the Valspar Championship by 2 shots over hard luck Cameron Young. It's Malnati's first win in more than 8 years on the tour. Meanwhile, Nelly Korda won again on the LPGA Tour and made it far more exciting than it needed to be. Korda made bogey on her last 2 holes Sunday to fall into a playoff in the Fir Hills Surrey Pac Championship, and then ended it quickly with a 12-foot birdie putt on the first extra hole to beat Ryan O'Toole and return to number 1 in the women's world golf ranking. Moose was at that event, and we never even talked about it. That's on me. But if you go to our Instagram page, I would invite any of you to do that, please, at The Rod Pedersen Show. Darren's got video up there of Brooke Henderson from the Fir Hills Surrey Pac Championship yesterday. The sports update, as always, brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. In Landmark Cinemas now, Kung Fu Panda. This spring, for the first time in almost a decade, comedy icon Jack Black returns to his role as Po the world's most unlikely kung fu master, with a hilarious, butt-kicking new chapter in DreamWorks Animation's beloved action comedy franchise, Kung Fu Panda 4. Starring Dustin Hoffman, Jack Black, and Bryan Cranston. And we're also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Just dipping in on the text line here, 902-518-3033. And what do we got? Looks like, are y'all talked out? Yeah, they are. They got nothing. We answered all their comments today. Wayne in Victoria, BC says, wow, that 2 hours just flew by. That was a great show, Rod and crew. Thanks, Wayne. I like to think they all are. Allie in Texarkana says, great show as always, RP and crew. Busy Monday for me. I hope you all have a great afternoon. You too, Allie. Thanks for dropping in. Always good to see you. I apologize, Colin in Ottawa. I did not look at the comments during the John Hodge interview, and that's on me. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says if Ambrosi was serious about injuries, he would mandate teams to make players wear properly fitted helmets and chin straps. Nah, I don't agree. It's like Matthew Tkachuk gnawing on his mouth guard here for the Florida Panthers. Hey, listen, you got to wear a seatbelt. If you don't want to wear a seatbelt, that's on you. If you're going to crash, you're going to die. The rule is you got to wear a seatbelt. If you don't, that's on you. The rule is put this helmet on. Do up your chin strap in the CFL. If you don't want to, that's on you. They are not 10-year-olds. Okay, we out. We'll see you tomorrow, noon Eastern. Thanks, everybody. Tomorrow on Game Plus and Key Radio.
Who has more fun than us?